Great, thanks, Vinnie. Really appreciate you taking taking the time and letting me take a little bit of time and share what's happening with the partnering world and how WorkSpan is helping our customers navigate the realities of today.
Well, Chip, thank you for coming on the show. You've been posting like crazy about all the different events where you go and interview folks. So I'm looking forward to hearing about it just seems so dynamic what you're doing. So look forward to it.
Yeah, thanks, Vinnie. I really appreciate it. It has been fun, by the way, just to get back out these days, now that COVID is over and people are reconnecting and going to events, and you have events like AWS reInvent and SAP Sapphire and 20,000 people, Cisco Live. So it's great to get back out and meet people face to face these days. So if you've been hearing a lot about partner ecosystems, there have been a lot of activity that's been changing. Companies are really investing in this motion. You have surveys of CEOs that are saying, hey, ecosystems are critical to our success. Analysts have been taking notice, publishing a lot about it. And so it's definitely a trend that you're seeing. And we'll dive into a little bit about what's happening and why is that all happening. Cloud is a lot of the reason. These days, with everything shifting into the cloud, it makes it a lot easier for, and by the way, published APIs makes it so much easier for companies to build APIs, build connections, and build joint solutions. You may have a number of different providers that provide best of breed solutions, but they're connecting into a lot of different other things. The APIs are there, the technology's there, but the business kind of hasn't caught up for, okay, how are we going to coordinate with these partners and make sure that we're building the best solution and co-marketing, co-selling with these with our partners. It's not an easy problem to solve. It's a lot different from the old resale days. Reselling was a lot different. If you look at sort of this sort of progression over the last 20 years, 20 years ago, CRM.
Chip, go back to the slide.
Yeah,
I didn't see Apple on there. Doesn't Apple have a template that has been with the iOS store that has worked very well? Clearly, that's not as the big enterprise space as much.
Yeah, that's a great point, Vinny. And I think this is really focusing more on the enterprise space versus consumer. Good point. So in the old days of direct sales, direct sales are still happening, and reselling is still happening. But 20 years ago, CRM technology was built to really modernize, digitize, professionalize, and build processes around direct selling. And then over the last 10, 15 years, reselling has also been a way to, partnering was really about reselling. Like, I've got a product, you're my partner, you're going to go sell on my behalf. But it's kind of still an extension of the sales force. It's still one deal that you're selling together. And what's happened with this new sort of dynamic of everything in the cloud and ecosystem solutions is that everybody has their own deal. So I've got a deal, you're my partner, you've also got a deal. Think of an example like, SAP working with, say, Accenture or Wipro, and deploying it all in the cloud on Google or in Azure. Right there, you've got three, at least, partners that need to work together. And but it could be more. Maybe there's some, Adobe technology in there, or there's, some very specific industry solutions. These days, I think some of the statistics are every deal has 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 or 7 partners working together. That's not a model. And by the way, each of those partners has their own solution, has their own technology, their own solution, their own deal.
And subcontractors, right? So
some subcontractors in there as well. So how do you manage all that? It's not a traditional sort of simple, I've got a solution, you're going to sell it on my behalf. It's everybody's got their own deal, they've got their own CRM, and but there's an opportunity to coordinate that co-selling effort and leverage the best of each of the players that are participating. And there hasn't been a solution, right? CRMs are out there, partner portals have been out there for this reseller motion, but you've got cloud providers, other ISVs, service partners, tech partners, MSPs. There has been no. So what everybody's been basically using, Google spreadsheets or Excel spreadsheets or whatever to sort of try and coordinate everything. The impact has been significant. It's, there's a lot of time that that alliance managers are using to sort of do all this manual effort to keep track of things. There's, data issues. There's security issues. If you're sending spreadsheets around, you could end up in the wrong place or the wrong, you've got a partner, maybe you've got two partners that are competitors and you send data to the wrong one and all of a sudden they've got opportunity information that you don't want to, but the worst problem is that pipeline is not being shared. So there's a lot of, because you're missing the opportunities. Do you have any?
The CPQ products, do they allow for involving partners, or are they also fairly enterprise specific?
That's a good question, and I haven't really
Because I would think
that,
if they could support multiple partners, wouldn't they be providing some visibility to some of what you're trying to do?
It could. That makes sense. It makes sense, and I have to take a look to understand that more.
Well, clearly it hasn't been a competition.
We're not seeing them in deals, so yeah, maybe an opportunity for them on their roadmap.
Or an opportunity for you to get into their space.
Well, we've got a lot on our plate already, so.
Good, focus.
So, WorkSpan is focused on co-selling, and we're the number one co-sell application. We have a lot of tremendous customers that we're proud to be working with and working for, and Cisco, SAP, Kyndryl, Wipro, AWS, Microsoft, and Google in the cloud space, and a lot of fast-growing startups as well that are leveraging WorkSpan to co-sell with
your customer is really the channel master, right? Channel master, if you will, and they kind of say, "Hey, we will use our tool to manage all aspects of the deal."
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order to co-sell, there's a motion that you have to sort of, and I've kind of alluded to some of it, you're building solutions together. So you're co-innovating. And it could be technology solutions, but it could also include services that you're putting together with partners. In order to do that, there's a process that somebody has to come up with the idea and then approve the idea, or build a business case, approve the idea, get product managers involved, get engineering involved. It's a whole cross-company process that is involved to, bring that to market. Once you have a solution you're ready to, then there's, co-marketing. You may be running some webinars or running events or other building joint collateral to go to market, and then co-selling where you're managing a joint pipeline. You actually have a pipeline of opportunities that both partners are working on, still in each of your CRM, but connecting those co-sell opportunities so that you can collaborate.
Chip, you have a decent customer base. Did that tell you, hey, in this quadrant, co-market is where we're getting the highest value? Where are you seeing usage?
Typically, yeah, co-selling is typically where our customers start, because that's where the revenue is,
right.
And it's easy. And then as they start advancing, then they say, oh, well, we'd like to manage, sort of our co-innovation process as a portfolio of solutions with partners, and then co-marketing, and co-invest also is where you're taking some of that money and putting it back into the business, sharing money. It could be in the form of MDF funds, sales incentives, life cycle incentives, and things like that.
So this is fairly, the co-invest is fairly mathematically, it would replace spreadsheets. Yeah.
Yes, it has to be, but that's that's where some companies have gotten into trouble as their funds programs, they start out on spreadsheets but now you've got money, real money moving around. And so you've got to really track that carefully and have all the checks and balances and approvals and everything. Just to give you a sense of the volume, but we currently have about 5,000, solutions under management, 18,000 leads. That number is growing. That's a more recent solution technology. $50 billion in joint pipeline, though, and
Wow.
that's some eye-popping numbers. And we're managing over $1 billion.
Is that skewed by a couple of big transactions, or is it fairly? What would you say is the average deal size?
It depends on the company. So it's there, and it's all over the map.
Okay.
So
So $1 billion in MDF funds. Yeah, I can see how you could.
you gotta
See a little bit of
be careful.
fraud and
right, exactly. You don't want that money getting routed to the wrong place.
and it happens with spreadsheets. I find that hard to believe.
There was and they're not going to name names, but yeah, there are some of those stories that it really needs to be managed carefully.
Was it an internal fraud type situation, or?
I don't want to go into. Well, I'll share afterwards.
Come on, Chip.
I'll share afterwards.
I look forward to going off recording, and you can.
That's right, and hearing the backstory. So I'll talk a little bit about sort of WorkSpan and how we're built, which makes us, I think, uniquely in a position to really handle all of this. The first is that WorkSpan's built as a network, and everyone in the network is treated as peers. I think the best analogy that everybody's familiar with is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one platform, one place, one instance where everyone connects. The technology, the menus, and how you use LinkedIn are exactly the same for everyone. There's one login, but your LinkedIn looks different than my LinkedIn because you have different relationships with the people that are out there. You have different trust relationships. You've invited somebody and they've accepted, and you have this sort of handshake relationship. That's how WorkSpan is built. Very different from the sort of traditional partnering technology of PRMs, where I set up a PRM, I invite my partners to log in, they can work with me, but they can't work with each other. And if there's another partner that set up a different PRM, then they have a different login, different data. Again, it's sort of
much more hub and spoke.
Yeah. Give you a sense of sort of how traditionally the partner technology has worked with PRMs, where you have a company and a partner, and you have a PRM portal set up, and then you have partner managers on the other side that are entering information in here. A couple of challenges. One is that a lot of times the partner managers don't have access even to their own Salesforce. So they're sort of, calling the sales teams to figure out what's happening with the deal, and then, entering the deal and then updating the deal. The other challenge is that because of some of the things we talked about earlier, that's very manual process, that deals don't actually get entered until the very end. So it's not really a collaboration system. It's it's something that happens well into so you don't really have forecast. You can't see what's happening, and you don't you can kind of see these 4 teams are not well connected.
So from an organizational politics perspective, do salespeople trust your system? Because usually they tend to be very, very suspicious of data that they don't control, right?
Yeah. So the way the WorkSpan is set up is that we're actually, we're a managed object inside of in Salesforce, right? It's or HubSpot or Dynamics, but majority of our customers in Salesforce. And you end up actually with a new tab called a referral tab, and the sales teams can refer their opportunity to the partner. They pick the partner and refer it over, and vice versa. And once it's accepted on the other side, if a referral comes over, it can be accepted and either create a new opportunity, or it can be attached to an existing opportunity if you're already working on the deal, or it can be rejected. But once those are accepted, then there's a link between the two Salesforces. So updates, it's not the whole Salesforce record, and not the whole opportunity record, but it's each company decides what they want to share, but it's usually typically 5 to 10 fields that it could be deal size, region, stage, close date, things like that, that get passed back and forth and get updated. When they get changed on one side, it gets updated over to the referral tab on the other side. So, but we kind of call this our, 4 in a box. Now you've actually got the sales teams on both sides, the partner teams on both sides, connected and working together to close this deal.
I like that 4 in a box.
And by the way, if there's this is showing 2 partners. If there's a third partner, then this continues to them as well.
But you can control what gets shown to each.
Exactly. And you have within that referral or that opportunity object, that shared opportunity object, it has public fields that you share, but then also private fields that only people that are logged in that are part of your company can see. So that there may be some private information that you want to have that gets carried along with that opportunity. So you have the context, but it's not shared with partners.
Okay. And then the partners, they wanted to share with the subcontractors. They would just use their allocation of users, right?
So one of the things that's interesting about WorkSpan is from the beginning, we actually don't charge based on the users.
Okay.
We charge based on the number of partners that you're managing. So users are unlimited, and you can invite people in to collaborate with you. And I won't go into a lot of detail here, but the concept is you got a referral going over to your partner, and the partner managers are in the mix, and you can set things up so that either the partner managers may be in the middle of that transaction and say, oh, I think we should work with this partner instead, or not. You set it up based on policies. I can either have the sales rep that defines that, or the partner managers can be in the middle. And then it can go in the other direction as well. So, but notice that, you have different sales teams that are participating, but the partner managers are the same. So they're sort of getting a view of what's happening across all of the partners, and by region and by product. You can do all kinds of reporting on it to see what's actually happening, which partners are more productive, which are creating more pipeline, which ones you're closing more deals with, and all of those.
Go back to the previous slide. In both slides, you had account executives on both sides.
Yeah.
So when you say partner manager, okay, I see that. I see it at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, these guys down here. Yeah. And then we've also been working the last couple of years with Microsoft and AWS and now Google. We're just in the process of launching with Google, of connecting directly pre-integrated into AWS ACE with AWS, with Microsoft Partner Center, with Microsoft, and Google Partner Advantage with Google to co-sell with the cloud providers.
So are you also doing something similar with, how does SAP, they have different programs now, grow with SAP and so on.
Yeah,
How have you done anything similar with them?
we are. Yes, SAP has been a longtime customer, and we are integrated directly into SAP as well, and Cisco and VMware. And yeah.
Okay.
I think I'll skip that slide. So I think this is kind of the wrap up. We've got some just terrific customers.
Chip, thank you so much. You did a great job in 20 minutes. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, Vinnie. I appreciate it.